Hello, beautiful. This past month, I've been battling some heavy entrepreneurial battles. I've had to reevaluate many of my visions, goals, and behaviors as they relate to this vlog. Let's just say the work I'm planning to do in December is going to set me up for a consistent 2017 here at Stay Beautiful. But to close out November, I'm bringing you the latest post in the Keys to Victory series. We've been discussing overcoming negative thinking and taking back our peace of mind. With all the work we've done, identifying our enemy, creating our battle plan, and recruiting our spiritual armies, now it is time to set it off. Come on in here, child. Let's get this thing started. Of the 100 must-see African-American films, F. Gary Gray's Set It Off comes in at number 5. This year marks the 20th anniversary of the cinematic tale about 4 women trying to break free from the mediocrity of life as they've always known it. I believe there's a lesson to be learned from our Set It Off sisters, Stoney, Frankie, Cleo, and TT. In the film, Stoney asks a simple but profound question. You feel free? She continues, I don't feel free. I feel very much caged. I dare you to answer Stoney's question for yourself. Further, if you had to live with your current ways of thinking for the rest of your life, would you be living in captivity or liberation? For some, captivity is normal. Cleo illustrates this mindset while in conversation with Stoney. We ain't nothing but hood rats. Now I can live with that. You can. The hood is where I belong. But Stoney, being the great friend that she is, challenges her bestie's limited way of thinking. Why we gotta roll over and accept that though? We gotta have a plan. What does our future look like? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I don't know about you, but in 5 years, I don't want to be negatively impacted by the same things that affect me now. What are you doing now to ensure you are stronger and healthier mentally and emotionally 5 years from now? Many times, negativity seeps in when we allow the enemy to plant lies in our minds. Don't be passive about these attacks. Sure, it's easier to lie down and give ourselves over to our emotions, but that's only because we've been doing it for so long. It's only because accepting defeat in the battlefield of the mind has become the comfortable norm. I guarantee that if you make a habit out of combating Satan's lies with the truth of God's word, you'll get to a point where speaking truth to lies is second nature. The Urban Dictionary defines the phrase set it off like this: to do something intensely or with hurricane force. Now ladies, most of us know how to set it off. Let somebody say or do something sideways and we're ready to give them a piece of our minds intensely and with hurricane force. We've learned not to allow people to talk to or treat us any kind of way. We've learned to stand up for ourselves. Many times, however, the men and or women we are ready to pop off on are really just pawns being used by the enemy to distract us from seeing that he's actually the one orchestrating all the chaos. We've got to be even more vigilant about popping off on Satan than we are about popping off on each other. In her book, Fervent, Priscilla Shirer unveils several common strategies and tactics of the enemy. She calls them schemes and deceptive plots being concocted for your demise by a very real enemy who is always primed to make his next move. Chapter or strategy 2 highlights how the enemy attacks our focus. She writes, if I were your enemy, I'd disguise myself and manipulate your perspective so that you focus on the wrong culprit. Your husband, your friend, your hurt, your finances, anything or anyone except me, because when you zero in on the most convenient, obvious places to strike back against your problems, you get the impression you're fighting for something, even though all you're really doing is just fighting for nothing. Don't let this be you, boo! For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. We are fighting against a very real enemy, and we cannot defeat him in the natural realm. We need something more powerful. We need our spiritual weapons for this fight. And as Cleo says in the movie, we ain't ain't robbing stagecoaches. We need something we can set it off with. That means it's time out for patty cake prayers. It's time out for neglecting God's word as the most powerful weapon. It's time out for isolating ourselves and thinking we can do this alone. It is time to go to war. Now, to recap, in this series, you've learned to, 1, identify how the enemy attacks you. Really hone in on the areas where you're most vulnerable to negative, self-sabotaging, depressing thoughts and make note of them. Also, identify what triggers you to think this way. 2, take what you learn about your mindsets and find scriptures that directly address those areas of concern. This is going to be your sword, and if wielded properly, it will do some serious damage to Satan's tactics and schemes. 3rd, recruit people whom you trust to fight alongside you. Get you some friends who can pray over you with fervor and who can speak light and life over your dark and dead situations. The more passionate and radical, the better. And lastly, set it off. I mean, go off. Okay? It takes a truly beautiful woman to know that there are times when she must get ugly and war for her peace and positivity of mind. Be that kind of woman. Don't let the devil have his way in your thoughts. Don't let him talk to you like you are less than a child of the Most High God. You are royalty, queen. Conduct yourself as such. And until next time, stay beautiful.